Let's get started. Welcome, you guys. I'm really excited to kick off our first Leaders Luncheon for the summer. We're going to do these every Monday at this time in June and July. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So what are these? So they're open to Director Q and above, and it's going to be, so share them with your peers, share them with your downline leaders, share them with everyone, you know, who would be applicable. Obviously, spread the word. We've got capacity for 500 live, and I could up that to 1,000 if we need it. So there is opportunity here for some space. We will try and record them, but I don't want anyone to be reliant on that because technology doesn't always agree with me, and I can't make you a promise that it'll be perfect every time. So 30 minutes every Monday after our leadership call, the director call. This is not to replace the director call. It's supposed to be a supplement to it. And you're going to have a different topic every week with a superstar director panel of people with experts that are experts and have a lot of experience on the topic of the week. Every week it'll be a different topic. You know, you're going to see a large number, a variety of superstar directors, because we're all good at different things, or we all have experience with different things. So we've got Hannah's going to watch the chat box. So if you have questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the chat. We're going to ask you to stay muted during the call because we all know what happens when we don't. And let's kick this off. Our first topic is how to thrive during hypergrowth. And I think we all would agree that we are definitely in a period of hypergrowth like we haven't seen in a very, very long time. And that can be challenging. So we have a panel of leaders who have all different levels of experience with hypergrowth at various times in Scentsi's growth, because we've been through hypergrowth in the past. And I'm going to pass it over to Aspen. Aspen is going to, she's going to be our moderator and ask questions to the panel. So give me 1 second. Go ahead, Aspen.
Thank you, ma'am. So I was looking over our panel today, and I will kind of introduce people as they come up, and we have a rock star panel. So I'm excited to share with you guys, excited for you guys to hear what they have to share, and want to say, not that these consultants have been around forever, because I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I will say between we have 4 panel members today, and between them and myself, there is over probably 50, maybe even 60 years of experience with Scentsy. So if you add up those years in every hypergrowth session that we've been through over and over, there's a lot to learn. So I hope that you guys get some good stuff. If you want to ask a question that I don't ask them, make sure and put that in the chat. Hannah's monitoring that, just like Karen had said. And so at the end, hopefully we'll have some time to circle back and answer some questions that you guys have too that I didn't think of. So hopefully we can cover. So the first person I want to talk to is Sarah Speechley, who has been with Scentsy. She will tell us how long. And also Sarah has a really cool story to share with us, along with Sarah, give us an idea of your hypergrowth experience and what years you saw it, when you started with Scentsy, and then tell us your story.
Okay, so as you guys know, my name's Sarah Speechley. I started Scentsy May 2005. So it has been 15 years that I've been with Scentsy. So I've seen a lot of the ups and downs, the growths, the peaks, the drops, whatnot. That happens with any business. But Scentsy really tries really hard to predict these, and they do really well at it. I know we're, you know, kind of crazy right now. No one could have predicted this would have happened during an epidemic. I am still in shock and awe. But even back in the first, when I started, so I kind of wanted to tell a few of the issues of the hypergrowth. Back in 2005, I grabbed my little catalog. We had to go through, hopefully you guys can see, and mark off warmers. Okay, this wasn't because they were on back order. This was because back then, Scentsy did not make the warmers. They were made through other distributors, and we no longer could get them. So it wasn't just a back order issue. It was a no longer can get this order. But you know what? We worked with it. You just kind of promote what it is. And, you know, people see them and say, oh, I want that. And later, Scentsy actually made more of those when they made them. But that was one back in 2005. The next one, 2007, right before Christmas, okay, we had huge issues because, again, that hyper growth, you know, a lot of products going fall. We all know how right before Christmas is. I was doing an event for Christmas, and I'd ordered a bunch of warmers to have on stock. All of the warmers were unavailable for after Christmas. I don't think we could get them till January or February. Scentsy was nice and gave us these beautiful warmers instead, so they could at least have something. Okay, this is the Craftsman and the Cornucopia. Hopefully you can see they are not beautiful. They are kind of ugly in my opinion. I had over 40 of these warmers at my event. That is it. Look again. That's pretty pathetic. So here I am at my Christmas event, you know, pushing it, and people would say, those are ugly. And I'm like, don't worry. Just buy the warmer. They still smell great. Just kind of hide it behind other things. Yes, that is how I did my event that year. I told them to hide their warmers so they could still smell the great scents that we have. And guess what? I sold every single one of them. You just work with what you are given. So if I can sell these, we can deal with some back order issues. So
Absolutely. That's so funny, Sarah. Actually, I don't know that buffalo plaid was really as cool as it is now as it was then, right?
Oh, it was ugly back then.
Right? Because everybody loves the plaid thing now.
And
So
I
that's
shouldn't say
awesome.
ugly. Some people actually really like this warmer. I shouldn't knock that. But when that's all you have, it doesn't appeal to everyone.
Well, I can guarantee you, if you have extras now, each one of us would probably want one.
I sold them all, darn it.
Right? I know. Okay, that's awesome. So as we roll on, thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing. As we roll on through, we have 5 different topics we're going to cover. We're going to cover training, promotions, back orders, ship times, and then we're going to talk a little bit about support and how Scentsy is supporting us. So I have set a clock because we can be long-winded. So I'm going to be really concise and keep moving. So we're going to move on to training really quickly. And so I'm going to throw it back at, I think we want to talk to Eileen. If you can unmute and tell us, first of all, what rapid growth or hyper growth periods you went through, Eileen. And then I really, really want to know, because we're not just seeing sales growth, we're seeing team growth. And so I want to know, what are you doing to keep this all under control? What are you doing with your team members? How are you keeping it all organized? What kind of systems? What are you doing?
Well, hey everyone, I'm really excited to be on the call today. I'm Eileen Reeder, and I joined Scentsy in October 2004, and I have seen most everything that's happened in Scentsy, and it's just been amazing. I kind of have a little bit different experience, I think, than most people who've been with Scentsy. Not all, but there's a handful of us that actually, you know, when I joined, I actually didn't have the money to join, and Orville let me work off my kit. I know most people don't get to do that, but I went in and I would rebox the warmers. So we would get them in these ugly nondescript boxes, and I was the one who would like fold the cute striped Scentsy box, put the warmer in the box, put the little band around it, and label the Scentsy box with whatever warmer was in there.
So Eileen, you actually invented the Earn a Kit.
I did. And, you know, so it's been an amazing journey to see all the hyper growth. And you know what? There have been so many challenges along the way too. And so you as a leader might be starting to feel those challenges with growing really fast. And I just want you to know, one, to stay positive through it all, because these are good problems to have. They can be frustrating, but it won't last forever. I promise you that. So make sure that those that are on your team that are rock stars, what I would recommend for making sure that you're staying on top of training your team is use those rock stars on your team. It doesn't matter if they're director or superstar consultant or whatever. I mean, if they're a lead and they're just like, they're recruiting and they're doing a bunch of stuff, partner with them and make sure that you are utilizing them, because they have a voice, and I can promise you they want to be heard. And if you're working together with them, that's going to create a really strong connected community on your team, which is only going to help you through this period of hyper growth. And that's what I would recommend, is making sure you partner with those rock stars on your team and assign them things. They want to be helpful. They want to be heard.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I want to go over now. I have one more training question. I'm going to throw it at Karen. Over the years, I've seen Karen do some amazing training. Besides relying on your rock stars who are already there, and we know that we should use the resources we have. So what are you doing or what kind of system do you have for emerging leaders during this crazy time? Like, we see leaders coming at us from all directions because we have hypergrowth, obviously. So what are you doing to say, hey, you're next?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question, and it can happen so quickly right now. And oftentimes we have people going from essential to director, or certified to director, or start a director in 1 month, and they don't have a lot of foundation. So there's a few things that I think are important. I remember back in 09 when we had, in 010 when we had 2010, when we had some hyper growth. I remember I was repeating the same thing over one-on-one, over and over and over. And Steve said to me, do you realize you said the same thing like 14 times today? Isn't there a better way? And so we created at that point a new consultant training program. There's no reason that you need to repeat yourself over and over. Now, building those relationships is important. So one-on-one mentoring matters, but things that are training based, you can do in a Zoom call once a week with your new team members or your emerging leaders. Giving them the responsibility, I think, is fantastic too, because it does give them confidence to step it up and move, and reminding them that they need to focus on their own businesses as well, because sometimes we see people who stop working their personal business as they start growing a team, and we all know that can lead to some issues when they kind of let go of their personal business in the process. The only other thing that I would add to it is really working with them to make sure that they understand that their mindset is that of a business owner and not a sales associate. And I know Orville mentioned this the other day, and he kind of said, you know, we need to, as consultants, we need to have the mindset of a business owner and focus on what's available. What's available now? What can we sell? What are the positives? And not the view of a sales associate who maybe says, oh my gosh, everything is gone. Because if we have 98 or 97 or 96% of product available, there is so much opportunity, but it is a mindset thing. And if we don't manage that with our emerging leaders, and the positivity shifts at that level, then it can spiral within the team. So really utilizing them and focusing on the arrows out and taking care of your customers and all the positive.
Absolutely. I did forget to ask you, Karen, to share what hypergrowth periods you've gone through.
Oh, well, I joined in November 2008, and I went through the fall of 09, which was just a fantastic time experience. But in the end, so I've been through hypergrowth. We've, kind of the 09, 2010 period, and we've seen lots of back orders and workstation issues and all of that kind of thing. And while it can be super frustrating at the time, it's either Orville or Chuck says you never make a decision on a long-term relationship on a short-term problem. So this is a short-term problem, and it's a fantastic problem to have. And so if we can keep our mindset focused forward on what this can do for our businesses long-term, then these are all just speed bumps.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to come to you, Shelly, now. If you want to unmute, Shelly Eldridge. Shelly, first share with us what, obviously, when you joined, and a little bit of hypergrowth experience. And then I really want to know about, we've talked a little bit about promoting leaders, but what about promoting other ranks? I haven't seen Shelly. She's here
I'm
somewhere.
here.
Yes. Okay, good. So share with us first a little your story, and then just a recognition system, how you're dealing with so many promotions all at once.
Okay, so I joined in August of 06. So I was around for the wonderful cornucopias, and then our growth in 08, 09, have seen the back orders. When I first joined, it was taking about 6 weeks to get our orders in. And then some of them were coming melted because it was Texas. I was one of the first 10 consultants in Texas. So they were learning all about heat, and what that does to our wax. So I've seen a lot of that. So I think patience is a lot of going through hypergrowth. When dealing with promotions, it's just kind of, you don't want to sit and be on your reporting tab all day long, because then you feel like we talked about this as SSDs earlier, how we feel like we're going a mile a minute, but we're not really getting anything done. So I try and look at my reporting tab maybe once a day, do a few screenshots, and then if you need to spread it out, if you feel like there's so many promotions happening right now and you're like, oh my gosh, June just ended or May just ended yesterday, I have to get all these promotions up. Don't stress. If you are like, everyone else is doing it and I'm not doing it, I promise you, you're not the only one that hasn't maybe sent a text or posted on Facebook. Figure out what's best for you. So when I was going through all of that hyper growth back in the old days, I had my first baby in 2008 and I had my fourth baby in 2014. So I had 4 kids in 5.5 years, and I guarantee you I was not on top of everything all the time. But what I was on top of was one thing. So I sent out postcards to everyone. So if you feel like you're not doing everything, that's okay. It's okay to just find a system with promotions that works best for you. So if that's just, I wait till the 10th of the month to do it, or you like to do it the first day, don't stress. It's just figuring out that system that works best.
That's awesome. Anytime somebody says systems, that's my love language, because when it comes to systems, I really think whether it's about training, whether it's about promotions, no matter what we're talking about, you got to do what works for you, whether it's 100 Post-it notes all over your desk, to a binder, to Amy, to whatever it is, you have to have a system that works for you. So I think that's the most important thing. That's awesome. So I want to circle back and talk a little bit about back orders and ship times. I'm going to go to you again, Sarah, and I would like for you to tell us right now how you're dealing with customers that say, this is what I want, and you look and it's on the back order list. So how are you approaching customers as a business owner? What are you saying to them? How are you maybe recommending something else? What are you doing?
If it's if they're wanting a product that is on back order, I just let them know, you know what, right now this is on back order. If you want to wait for that product to come available, you can. We also have these available. And you know what? Not one of my customers has been upset about it. I mean, look at what's on the shelves. Look what's going on. I mean, every direct sales company I've been buying from, you know, I just placed an order and I got an email saying I probably won't get it till July. I'm okay with it. That's just what we live in. And I think most people, if you just explain it to them, they will be happy and understanding.
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of times it's just the way we pitch it, because I mean, I look back on even say when they added $1 to the price of bars, right? And we had some people who said, my customers are freaking out. But when I said it, like, I never really mentioned it. I mean, I told them the price and I said it, you know, I give them the information, but because I, as a business owner, didn't make a big deal of it, neither did they. It's like when you go get your nails done and there's a sign, we're raising prices. And you're like, well, I'm getting my nails done anyways. So I think it's a mentality as a leadership, in a leadership role, or even with your team, the same approach. So what about with your team? How do you feel like if you have team members that maybe haven't been through anything like this before and are saying, well, it took me 3 weeks to bring back my bars, so now what? How are you approaching even team members? Because I think us as leaders, that's another important avenue that we need to go down.
I think the biggest thing is always spin it to be positive, because if you put it positive and just say, you know, we are so lucky we're in such a big growth right now. This is actually a good problem to have, that we are growing. And yeah, we have things on back order, but that is because our products are so amazing and everyone wants to get them. And our business is thriving, more than thriving. And I think just putting it, always spinning it on positive. Don't ever feed their fire and say, oh, I know I didn't get something. That just feeds the fire and makes it worse. Always throw a positive spin in. Now, yes, we may have upset or irate or difficult downline, possibly. We know there are some that get frustrated. Listen but always spin it positive. I always say just have a listening ear and then tweak it to a positive. Yeah, we do have, that is actually a good problem to have. Look at all the people getting laid off. We're lucky we still have product being shipped. There's some companies that have shut down completely and are not selling out. We're lucky we can still get product. Yeah, it's a little on back order, but look, 98% of our product is still available.
Right, absolutely. Well, and I think the reality of the situation is that, I mean, yes, we spin it positive, but we are looking at a positive situation. So, I mean, it's not a lie that we're saying, look what we have. I do want to talk a little bit more about ship times. Eileen, what are you seeing when it comes to, are you having anything that you're hearing from customers and team members when it comes to ship times and maybe follow-up? How are you handling that? I know my follow-up is a little bit off.
Yeah, so obviously we're all experiencing longer than normal ship times. And I think with the back order situation, that's normal. With the number, I think we have to keep in mind that, you know, Scentsy had so many people working in shipping, but they are hiring like crazy. So we know that that problem is going to be taken care of soon. So when I have, you know, a customer that's like, hey, where's my stuff? You know, I really just, you got to stay calm and you got to stay positive and you just got to let them know, hey, I'm so sorry. It's taking a little bit longer than normal, but you know, if I have been actually trying to set my customers up for that when they order and just know, you know what, it may be a little bit longer. So you know, I would normally quote like a 7 to 10 business day ship time. I'm quoting like 2 to 3 weeks. And it has, for the most part, settled in that time frame. And so my customers have really, you know, in my experience, have been really understanding. And I think just as Sarah was saying that, you know, it's kind of what we're living in right now. And so I think I think you can safely say that your customers are going to be like, oh yeah, it's going to take longer, you know. So, but you know, set them up for that expectation. I think I always tell my kids, you have disappointment when you have unrealized expectations. So if we try and set the expectations correctly with our customers and even with our downline, I think it is going to be totally fine. You're going to have a lot smoother sailing than if, you know, you're like, oh, it should only be a few days. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I have one more topic and it's support. And so I'm going to go to Shelly, if you want to go ahead and unmute. Explain to us. So we are really spoiled, obviously, and used to picking up the phone and dialing in and getting someone to help us right away, especially as leaders. And so what are you doing to deal with the wait times when we have a simple question or something that we need to fix when we're calling Scentsy? Tell us a little bit about how Scentsy is supporting us through this and how you're dealing with the wait times through support.
So one thing that I've tried to teach my team is to either come to our group Facebook page and ask questions or come to me directly. As leaders, we tend to, and that's all leaders, sometimes SSDs might have a little bit more insight, but if we are paying attention to either our official Facebook pages or the news tab, a lot of times we have the information. So if we're teaching our teams to come to us first and ask, then that helps with wait times because then not every single person is going to consultant support. And then if there is a problem that we can't fix, then as SSDs, we do have a business analyst that we can dive deeper in. So that kind of helps alleviate that. But if not, you can collect a bunch of questions. I don't remember what year this is because everything's kind of relative with me. But I remember there was a time where we didn't have the chat function and you could only call in, and we would sit on the phone for hours, it felt like, at a time with questions and just wait on the phone. So if you are willing to take that on and go, I can sit either on the phone or on the chat and just wait, then, you know, even have a post where people can just go, I have this question, and see how many you can get answered for them. So I have found long term that's the best way to handle any type of wait time situation.
Absolutely. I think that's awesome. And I think the other thing we need to realize too is as we as consultants are going, our leaders are going through hypergrowth, Cincy home office is going through the very same thing. So they're probably a little more taken aback than we are because we're the ones pushing and they're the ones like, okay, we got to make this right. So they're probably trying twice as hard as we are to make us feel like, or make everything feel and run so smoothly. So always kudos. I know we're reaching close to the end of our time here. So I want to just thank you guys for getting on and taking the time. We are going to do this every single Monday, like Karen said. So Bill, be sure to join us or put it on your phone or your event reminder or whatever it is so that you can be on here with us. I want to go over to Hannah. Hannah, do we have any questions that we want to throw out real quick or have someone answer?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that you guys did a great job answering. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to our awesome panel. And you guys know that we're all on Facebook. And so if you have hypergrowth questions, ask your leaders who've been through it before. Like that's what we're here for. If you're struggling, if you're disappointed, if you're a little torqued off that things are so slow, I mean, talk to someone who's been through it before and be able to bring the attitude that you want your team to have to them. So if you're happy, they're going to be happy. If you're grateful, they're going to be grateful. If you're torqued off, they're going to be torqued off. So remember that through all of this, I think attitude is the most important thing. And thank God for hypergrowth. Seriously, you guys grab on tight, buckle your safety belt, because I don't think we're going to see this slow down anytime soon. So I, for one, am super excited, and I will take all the downs with the ups because we are going up. So does anybody else have anything that you want to add before we wrap up here? No? All right. If you guys think of other questions, feel free to reach out in the Summer Sizzle group. Watch for our daily posts there. I'm excited. Thank you again to our panel and to Hannah and to everyone who helped and threw in on this. I'm excited to see what next week brings. Thank you guys so much for getting on.